Hey Bookaholics, welcome back to another reading vlog. It's the first reading vlog of the year. Happy New Year to all of you. I am so excited to be getting to this vlog because it's possibly the most ambitious one I could start the year with. I was just so excited by my TBR that I decided this is what I'm going with. So I'm insane, but bear with me. I have decided that I am going to be reading 5 books for this vlog. I don't know how long this vlog is going to be. I'm not timing it. I'm just reading these books. One of them I can't guarantee will be finished. I'll explain why in a minute. The other 4, this vlog goes on until those books are finished. I am crazy excited for them. So for my TBR, I ended up with a buddy read that is a horror book. I ended up with a read-along book that is an epic fantasy. I spun my first spinner wheel prompt for the year in my TBR, which ended up giving me a historical fiction. My friend Mare has been badgering me to read a romance, and I am buddy reading a sci-fi with my husband. I've got 5 genres. I've got 5 5-star predictions for those genres. Let's go. Let's read them. Let's read through those books and let's see which genre ends up still in my heart. To go through the books that I am going to be reading, we're running with it. It's a read a book in every single one of my favorite genres and see which comes out on top. For my spinner wheel, I spun for my TBR and I got the prompt of a new to me author. I'm very excited to see what I land on for my very first spin with the new wheel. So let's see what we land on. Pumpkin. All right, we've got a prompt. So this would just be one book to read. And we've got new to me author. All right, let's go find a book on my shelves from a new to me author. So I went with a new purchase, one that I'd just been given for Christmas, and that was The Square of Sevens by Laura Shepherd Robinson. This is a Georgian historical fiction in which we are following a tarot reader named Red, who has a mysterious background and wants to know what happened to her mother. And her father has recently passed away, and she now needs to be dependent on other people that are of her father's acquaintance, and then also needs to try and figure out who the mysterious people her father was always warning her about are and what they want. So yeah, we have this first one, which I'm very excited for. I read the first chapter of this one, and so far I am very intrigued. I am very excited to get into this. I'm really liking the writing style so far. Obviously not much has happened because I've read the first chapter, but I did think that it felt very immersive from the get-go, and I'm just excited to read a Georgian story that isn't a Regency romance. As much as I love Regency romances, I do feel like they've kind of co-opted the Georgian era almost to a point where there's no real way of reading any historical fiction in that genre is what it feels like. So I'm really excited to get to this one and actually read some like meaty historical fiction for a change instead. The next one that I have the buddy read that is happening over on my Discord, and that is For Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. This I believe is going to be like a fantasy whimsical retelling of Snow White coupled with horror, and I love when T. Kingfisher does horror. This one, we are following a woman who is known for antidotes of poisons. So when the king comes to her and says, listen, my daughter has been poisoned and I'm going to get you to be the one to figure out how to save her, we get drawn into, I imagine, this kind of horror slash fairy tale-esque parallel. I'm excited. I think we're going to get drawn into an almost like nightmare realm at some point from what I read of the synopsis. I read the first chapter of this one as well, and I really liked the way that this was introduced. I'm already so invested in our protagonist, which is something that T. Kingfisher always does really, really well. So I'm really excited to see where I go with that one. For the read along that is happening on my Discord, but I think is going to be disbanded because no one else I think is joining at the moment. It is quite a dense series, so it is one that I can understand people wanting to spread out more, but I'm loving it. So 5-star prediction for me. And that is, I'm going to be reading The Liar's Knot by M.A. Carrick, which is the second book in the Rook and Rose series. I rated the first book 5 stars, so I'm hoping that I feel the same way about this one. In this story, we are following Vren, who is a con artist who has pretended that she is a distant relation to this once wealthy family without being aware that this family is actually in decline, and therefore they are very suspicious of outsiders. In this city, which is Venetian inspired, we also have the Rook, who is this vigilante type character who is there to keep the nobility in check, but to also keep the kind of gang mob bosses in check as well. Like, he's that kind of vigilante that's trying to make a fairer city, for want of a better word. And I am very excited to get to this one. I have also read the first chapter, but of course I know that I'm going to love this series anyway because I loved the first book. So it's kind of the safest bet, I feel like, from this TBR. Next one I have is one from my friend Meh, who has recommended that I read this. Apparently it is spicy, but it's quite tame. Sad face. But apparently it is going to get spicier from what she's predicting anyway. So there's hope for me. And that is The Wolf King. I am excited to get to this one. It is a shifter one, which I'm not normally the biggest fan of, but Meh finally sold it to me when she said hot Scottish men. Excuse me? Someone who is literally planning on moving to Scotland, why would you not lead with that? We are following the King's daughter. I've read the first chapter, so I can just tell you what happens in that and we'll go from there. We've got the King's daughter who is going to be married off to this northern lord, who I think is one of those like typical English lords that's been sent to Scotland to like oppress the Scots. But the Scots in this situation, in this kind of like alternate world, are shifters, and it's detailing the barbaric nature of the shifters, and we've got them fighting in pits and her really not liking that, and the guy she's going to be married to is despicable, and that's as much as I've got so far. I'm assuming she's going to fall for one of the shifters, and I'm here for it. I'm very excited. And then the last book that we have for this vlog is I am currently buddy reading The Expanse with my husband. We've started Leviathan Wakes. This is the book that I actually rolled over from last year. I mentioned it in my December wrap up where I have gotten to page 222. So my husband is dictating the pace for this, so he reads and then I go catch up with him basically because I am a faster reader than him. So how much of this is going to get read for this vlog, I don't know, but it is a sci-fi, so it is obviously exciting to see, you know, each of the genres that I love represented in this vlog. So yeah, that's my hope, is that I'm going to go work my way through reading this one as well. I am really liking it so far. In this story, we are following two perspectives. The first is Holden, James Holden, who is the XO, so like the first mate, like the second in command on a ship that discovers this ship that seems to have been attacked, and it's possible that it was attacked by a Martian fleet. So then when he announces that the ship has been attacked by Martians, it then possibly starts interplanetary war that has been like slowly brewing over the centuries, and it is Mars versus the belt, which is those that are in the asteroid belt, those that have grown up in the belt, and then we also have Earth, which so far has yet to make a move to see which side of the conflict it's going to fall on. We're also following Detective Miller, who is investigating the disappearance of a girl named Julie Mao, initially as kind of like a snatching job where her parents were just saying, look, we're missing where our daughter is, and even though she's an adult, because they are wealthy, they have the ability to get him to use his resources to go find her. However, then he begins to understand that there might be more to Julie's disappearance than he initially thought. So there we have this one. I'm very excited. So it's a heck of a stack, and it's a very chunky stack again because I've got two of them digitally as well. But I am so excited for all of these books. So if this takes me like 3 weeks to get through, but I end up having a great time, then, you know, let's go. This might be quite a long vlog. We'll see. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to talk about some of these. Obviously, this one is not as well known, but hopefully because it's historical, at least enough I can talk about. This one I feel like I'm going to be limited in what I can talk about, given that it is a sequel. This one, obviously, I'm going very slowly with, but I am also including this in a different vlog. So we'll see how much I end up updating this vlog with this one, apart from just, I'm still liking it. Hemlock and Silver, I feel like I'm going to be able to talk about quite a bit as long as I keep it spoiler free, and we'll see what I can talk about with The Wolf King, because obviously it's the first book in a series, so I don't know how much of the romance is going to unfold in that first book. I don't know. I'm excited. That's it for this update. One chapter into everything apart from Leviathan Wakes that I'm further into. I think I'm going to keep doing that. I'm not going to necessarily do one chapter at a time. We'll be here forever. Try and make sure that I am prioritizing all of them, but I also want to see what I'm naturally gravitating towards, which of the books is most pulling me in. So we'll see how I fare with that as well. But yeah, that's it for this update. So I will check back in when I've got something to say on something that I've read. Good morning vlog. I have made some progress, so I thought I would check in. I've actually done a considerable amount of reading. Hubby hasn't, well, he's read a bit of The Expanse, but he wants to read a little bit more before I play catch up, so I haven't read any more of The Expanse yet, but I have read up to the closest chapter point of 100 pages into every single one of my other reads. So let's talk about it. The first one is I have read the first 98 pages of The Square of Sevens. I am really loving the vibes of this. I think that it's doing such a good job of capturing a much more raw version of the Hanoverian time than we normally get. Normally you get a Regency romance where everything is a lot more clean, a lot more whimsical. Granted, there's still obviously like the rampant sexism and all of that kind of thing, and potential racism, I suppose, depending on which books you're reading. But this one does a really good job of capturing, I guess, the rawness that you would expect from the Georgian Empire a lot more in a way that I'm really appreciating. I think it's doing a really good job of showing, like, you know, things weren't dandy even in the upper classes. Imagine what they were like in the lower classes, the type of discrimination that you would expect. We also have conversations around parts of England that don't normally get discussed. You normally get the London and the London area, you get London, Essex, Hampshire, and then you get Bath, maybe Chester. That's about it. But this one, we're mentioning Cornwall, we're mentioning Warwick, you know, we're branching out a little bit more. So hopefully it will continue to do so, and we can have like a little bit of a tour of England with it, which would be really nice. I really like our Guardian that we've got in this. Our protagonist is interesting to follow. She's an interesting one because she is definitely what I would expect almost from a woman in her position, because she is someone who is both young and naive but also intelligent. So it's not her lack of intelligence that causes any of her struggles. It is the way that women were treated and kept in the dark, and then that level of ingenuity that was expected of young women that actually comes to their detriment, and that literally was part of what kept women not safe, was the lack of education, the lack of understanding, the things they were told they weren't supposed to know. I'm really enjoying that. I'm really liking the discussions around the cards as well. This has like a murder mystery vibe to it, even though it's not like a murder, because there's the Square of Sevens, which is this pattern that she tells fortunes with, and the original document that it was on went missing, but her father had it, and her father gave it to her guardian in exchange for taking care of her, and now people are looking for it, and it's like a very valuable document. So yeah, I'm very curious to see, I guess, where this is going to go, because at the minute you've got these dark undertones on top of this extravagance that was the Hanoverian times in England. So I'm very excited to continue. I'm also now, I don't know the exact page number, I think I'm on page 100 of Hemlock and Silver, and I'm really liking this one as well. It's got a very earthy vibe to it, very earthy undertones. It's very much talking about plants, about fungi, about our relationship with nature as well. There was so many, I've already highlighted quite a few lines in there around how we perceive nature, how a lot of the time something to find a cure for a plant, there is almost like an exact opposite of it, or the way that you need to treat the symptoms and also treat the whole, all of those kinds of things. There were lots of interesting things with discussions around healing and helping with addiction as well, because she is someone who helps out the people who are addicted to what is basically opium. Origin story as well of her becoming curious about poisons is also really cool. I really appreciated that. A lot of the lines in here are just really hitting. Our protagonist is a very typical T. Kingfisher protagonist, which is perfect for me because I love me a T. Kingfisher protagonist. She's in her 30s, I think. She's not like some spring chicken. And she is someone who knows her shit, who maybe is a little bit socially awkward, but she really knows her niche. She knows really, really well. She is someone who gets a little bit annoyed, I guess, with the fact that other people will try and profit off of something that she is genuinely doing because she wants to help people. So she's a fascinating character to follow. The king is also very interesting to me. I'm really liking that we've taken what we normally get from T. Kingfisher's fairy tales and fantasy, and also what we get from her horror, and we're kind of combining the two in an interesting way. So I'm very curious to see how I'm going to fare with the rest of this book. But so far, I'm really liking the character, the writing style, the setup, and I'm curious. We haven't even seen Snow yet, and I'm curious. I have also got to part 2 in The Liar's Knot, which puts me at page 127. Follows on from where we got with book 1 in an interesting way, especially the interpersonal dynamics of the characters. I am liking that. I feel like we're seeing, not necessarily seeing more of the Rook, it's just I feel like I'm getting to know more of the Rook, which is great for me because the Rook is a great character. And normally I'm not particular, like if there's a female POV and a male POV, I'm going to be much more interested in the female one. But in this one, the balance between the 3 POVs that we're getting, it's interesting to me. I'm really liking seeing all of the different perspectives that we're getting. I think that the balance here between the opulence of the upper upper classes and the grunginess that you get of the lower classes is struck so well, because there's so much discussion around the almost hedonistic element that comes with the upper classes, and yet you're seeing them struggle. So you see from, like, as an outsider perspective, all of this opulence, but you also see all of the struggles and the conflicts and the secret fights and conflicts that are going on within the house, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I'm excited to continue this one as well. I absolutely love the writing style in these books. They just absolutely scratch an itch in my brain that is very, very satisfying. This is, as I said, probably going to be the one that's most difficult to talk about on the basis that I can't say much because of how the first one ended. It's not even like it's, oh, I can talk about this anyway. The first one ended in a way that was quite cataclysmic and quite epic, but I am very excited to see the position that Ren keeps putting herself in. I'm curious to see what the repercussions are going to be from that, because I feel like eventually something's going to happen. I'm curious to continue, and I'm really enjoying this one. And then the last one that I have gotten, I think maybe like 105-ish pages into, is The Wolf King, and this has been interesting. I really like the setting. I really do like this Scots versus English element that we've got going on, the discussions around clans, around Plaid, around the way that clans work, and the fact that we've woven wolves into clan-like behavior is interesting. And then the mythology around the wolves has also been very cool. I'm really liking that. The guy is your typical just massive hulking guy who is really intimidating but super protective of our protagonist, which is what we want, right? We want a swoon, ladies. And yeah, I'm finding it really compulsively readable so far. I'm very excited to get back into it. Our protagonist is annoying to the same degree that you would expect a romance protagonist to be annoying. I don't find her particularly any more annoying than anyone else, but obviously she's in a position where she's going to have to learn how to survive in this environment. She's having to unlearn all of the things that she's been taught. So there's a lot going on there, and I think that is layered in a way that I like. We've got a feisty protagonist, but one that also is smart enough to know when to maybe cool it a bit. So far so good. I'm having a good time with all of my books. At the moment, I could not tell you how I'm ranking them for the life of me. I'll leave that to the end of the vlog and see, but I'm really hoping that I end up with like a full flush of just at least 4 of these being 5 stars. The Expanse, I don't know. The Expanse I'm liking, but I don't know if it's going to be like a 5-star book. It's more like a 4, I think, but the others have the potential to definitely be 5-star reads. So we'll see how I fare with that. Good morning, vlog. I am here to check in because I have read some things and I'm getting through these books at a really good rate. Like, I'm really happy with the rate at which I am going. Today is the 5th. I am going to be busy today, so how much gets read is uncertain, but I have made a lot of progress. So I have finished book 2 of Square of Sevens, which puts me at page 259, and we are definitely starting to get so much more invested in the mystery of this girl's life and parentage, and then also why everyone is so desperate for this Square of Sevens. Like, that there's more to it, there's more to the documents that were accompanying it. There's more complexities, I suppose, in there as well. And I'm really excited, I guess, to see how I end up faring with the latter half. Because again, there's been so much that's been revealed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true yet. Like, at the moment, it's more different characters, speculations, and assumptions. You don't even know which characters might be lying, for example. So I'm very curious about that, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So the intrigue is definitely very, very high. I'm definitely loving the way that we've got the Georgian setting here as well. This early 1700s kind of atmosphere to it, especially when it comes to the divide between the lower and upper classes, because while during the modern era we did start to get a bit more flexibility when it comes to class systems, aside from the political and legal aspects, when it came to the social interactions, we did start to see a little bit more maneuverability. We're starting to head much more towards a class system than we are towards the staunch hierarchy of the medieval times, and you can definitely see that there, where it's more social pressures and the done thing that keeps things in check a lot more than in medieval times. You can really tell that this is where that change is beginning. We're definitely nowhere near into the throes of it becoming much more commonplace yet. We need the French Revolution for that, but we can definitely see those early nuggets, and the way that the author's playing with this this is interesting, especially in one particular instance. So I'm very excited to continue. I am around the 200-ish page mark of Hemlock and Silver. I'm really loving this. I really like T. Kingfisher's prose. As I've said before in previous updates, I love her protagonists. They are always people who are very driven. They're people who have normally an interesting niche expertise. Not always the case, but they tend to have that, and they tend to be really driven by something. And I really love me a driven main character, but they're complex people. They're people with flaws. I think that she does that really well as well. And I'm just excited to see how this develops, especially because we've got a couple of the guards that are working to basically protect our protagonist, because the king believes that his daughter's been poisoned. So he obviously believes that anyone who discovers that his daughter has been poisoned is also going to be in danger. So she has these guards, and I really like the guards. They're called Aaron and Javier, and I really like them. I find their dynamic enjoyable. But so far, my favorite character in this book, aside from our protagonist Anya, is I do love a cat. Turned into a cat person last year, and now I love this cat. But it sounds like a cat. I know it sounds ridiculous because cats can't talk, but it sounds like a cat. I don't know how else to explain it. So I'm having a really good time with that. I'm really enjoying the way that that one is progressing. I'm loving the level of mystery and intrigue coupled with this really creepy atmosphere that is still also in this kind of whimsical fantasy fairy tale atmosphere at the same time. I'm really liking the combo that's going on there. We also have The Liar's Knot, which I have also finished part 2 of, which puts me at page 261. I just love this world. I mean, I love the characters, don't get me wrong. MA characters such a good job getting me really invested in these people that I really care about these characters. I love Ren. I love Tess. The Rook is amazing. But the thing is, what's fascinating about these characters is that you've got multiple characters with alter egos. So you've got, for example, not always literal alter egos. So you've got characters that, for example, will present one way to this group of people and a different way to this group of people. And I think that even that those different facets of these different human beings is fantastic before you bring in literal alter egos. So every POV has a level of depth and nuance to it because you have these people that are playing parts in society, and I just think that is handled phenomenally. The world building in here is the thing that I love the most. I really love, as someone who loves languages, as someone who has a deep appreciation for languages, I really do love the way that MA Carrick go about language here. They do such a good job of incorporating different cultures in a city that is very vibrant and therefore attracts people from other nations and other societies, and it's just done in a way that I really love. So as someone who loves culture and loves sociology, and then on top of that really loves language, this is my bread and butter kind of series, right? And then on top of that, like I said, the characters are just phenomenal. Now, I haven't really talked about the plot, not because I'm not enjoying the plot, but because this one is a difficult one to talk about plot-wise. Obviously, because it's a sequel, but also the level of complexity of this plot at the moment is yet to be revealed in a way. Like, I understand that there are all of these threads that we're pulling on, but are we pulling on different threads of the same yarn, or are we pulling on different threads of different yarns, if that makes sense? Are we unraveling one thing with lots of threads, or are we unraveling multiple things at the same time? So I don't know yet, and I'm very excited to find out. Love the prose in here as well. Overall, this is probably going to be 5 stars. It will have to really, really fumble the ending for this to not be 5 stars. I am also approximately 200 pages into The Wolf King. 200 pages in, and the romance is not doing as much as I would like this far into a story. That is a personal preference thing. This is definitely doing a lot more when it comes to building stakes and doing things like world building and trying to introduce things slowly, especially because we've got this dynamic that could very easily be toxic if it was mishandled, and it's not being mishandled. So I've got a lot of good things to say about it. I just wish that by the 200 page mark, I felt more chemistry than we did 150 pages ago. And I don't really feel like we do. I feel like we're getting a measure of everyone's character, especially his character, with him being obviously the one who needs to prove that he is not a bad person given the circumstances under which they met. I guess I would just like a little bit more tension than we're getting. We had one one kind of scene that maybe was a bit hot, and that's it. And I'm impatient, I guess, with romances because I read romances as brain candy. I want them to be moreish, but I will say that so far, when it comes to the amount of effort that's being put into the fantasy side and plot side to actually make this be able to stand on its own 2 feet, I think is going really, really well. So it's worth the wait so far, but I am very excited to continue and hopefully actually get into some meatier stuff with the romance. And then I have made a tiny bit of progress with Leviathan Wakes. I am now on page 258, and this one, so we have finally had it where our two POVs have actually met each other, because it's taken, they were not in the same area until this point. So our two POVs have finally met each other a little while back, and now it seems like one of the characters' plots is going to thicken. So he was already kind of invested in certain elements of what was going on in the larger scope of things, but now I feel like things are really going to amp up and really kick in. He's definitely going to become much more of a player than he had previously, so I'm excited to see how that's going to go. But yeah, so that's my update. I have read only a tiny bit of this one because it's just based on whatever my husband has time to read. But yeah, I feel like I'm making really good progress with the rest of them, so it shouldn't take me actually that much longer to finish these. I'm nearly halfway of everything, so I'm assuming maybe like another week and I'll be done with everything, which is insane given how chunky all these books are. It's not even that I am trying to make sure I ram my way through a load of books so I can get more books in, because that's literally not the vibe I'm going for this year, but because they're all so good, I thought I would pick up all these books because I was indecisive. So I'd pick up all these books and then one would stand out to me and I'd finish that one. That's not what's happening. I'm like I'm so anxious to get to all of them that I'm putting caps on myself of just like, okay, we'll read 50 pages of this for now, and then 50 pages of this, and then 50 pages of this. And like, I'm working them all down slowly instead, which has been fascinating. It's been a fascinating experience, especially when certain books have a certain amount of overlap as well. That's been fascinating, because especially with Hemlock and Silver, which has this kind of, it's not witchy because she's not a witch, she's a scientist. It's got that like earthy witchiness that if you go back to like original witches, which are just medicine women basically, and then you've got like the tarot element that's going on in here at times. They've got like the cards in here, which is also in here, so there's like a considerable overlap vibe, even though they all feel really different. So they're working really well in tandem as well. Obviously not so much with the Wolf King and with Leviathan Wakes, but the others, there's enough overlap to make it just feel that little bit more immersive. So I'm very excited to continue, but I don't really have anything more to say at the moment, so I'm gonna let you go, and then when I have gotten to another reasonable place to check in, I shall do so. Hey vlog, I'm checking in because I have made some progress with all of my reads apart from Leviathan Wakes. I haven't made a single dent in that since I last updated you, because again, it's not on me. I have now read book 3, so I am on part 4 of The Liar's Knot, which puts me at page 388. And this one, the plot is thickening, but more intensifying. I know that they sound the same. It's not necessarily that things are getting more dangerous. It's not that they're getting more dramatic. It's just that the intensity of the actions and the intentionality of those actions is increasing with each step, and I am really loving it. I don't have a huge amount that I can say because obviously I'm so far into this series now. I'm past halfway into this trilogy. There's going to be a limit to the amount that I can talk about this one. I will check in again when I get to the end of part 4, but I love the interaction between these characters. That is always my favorite bit of this series, because you have the characters that are deceiving each other, those who are being honest with each other, those who are lying to themselves, the layers upon layers of different intrigues that are happening with these characters. All of it is just magnificent. I am also now 300, I think, pages into Hemlock and Silver, and I am having such a good time. I am absolutely loving the development of the potential romantic relationship that is happening in here that T. Kingfisher does really well. It's the right side of awkward. Normally when you get awkward romances, it's this like cutesy klutzy girl. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate that. You know, your Bridget Jones style protagonist, your new girl kind of protagonist. Recently I read it in Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. You have this protagonist that's like all bubbly and quirky but happens to be a bit clumsy, and that means for some like cutesy awkward moments, like no, these are two characters that are like really flawed human beings that keep misreading signals and who are a bit awkward around each other because they're attracted to each other and don't know how to go about it. And I just love that T. Kingfisher does that so well. So yeah, having a great time with that one as well. The plot is thickening and we are entering into the creepy element now. And I don't think this book is going to go full horror, but we are definitely in the horror adjacent part of this book now. It's very much creepy, atmospheric, unsettling. You don't know what could be lurking around the next corner kind of vibe in a way that I'm really enjoying. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that one and seeing what comes of it. I think that will probably be the one I first finish because I think it's the shortest out of all of these. But yeah, having a great time. I also got to book 4, so I read part 3 of The Square of Sevens, and this is another one that like has really intensified in the last part. I don't trust anyone in this book, anyone at all. It's so fascinating because you've got characters that you're kind of being angled to like, that she likes, that she's trusting. She's like, oh, I'll try and get information out of them. And I don't trust anyone. Now, this book is not going to get 5 stars on the basis that I think the way our protagonist is going about getting her information is a little bit too on the nose. It's a little bit too direct and people would have seen right through it. She is not as good at playing people as she thinks she is. So she's just going around and she's asking all these like super personal questions and trying to pass it off as just casual conversation with so many people. And I'm not buying it. I'm not buying they wouldn't have kicked her out by now. I'm struggling with that part, but I don't care because I'm interested enough in the intrigue and I'm interested in the character and I'm really enjoying the setting, the vibe, the interpersonal intrigues, and just seeing the dirty laundry of this family begin to become aired out. I'm loving it. I'm having a great time with that. So it doesn't matter that I think the way she's going about it is a little bit too OTT. It doesn't matter because I'm still enjoying it anyway. Having a fantastic time, not got much left at all. So I should be done with this hopefully by the end of the day. The last one that I have an update on is of course The Wolf King, which I also read another 100 pages of. So I think I'm past the 300 page mark. We had our first sex adjacent scene, and then where I left off, I think we're going to have our first proper sex scene. I'm liking this. I have a confession. So there was a section, it's like a full moon kind of section we had where the main love interest guy kind of left to go be part of this ritual, and then she runs into the guy that is kind of pitched more as like the villain, and then he like makes her run, and then later on we find out that he had like ulterior motives for it. She has this argument with the other guy, with the main guy, and then he leaves, and then the guy that's kind of pitched more as like the villain, his name is Blake, he is the one that's protecting her. And I'm not gonna lie, the way that Callum, like the main love interest, is going about it versus the way that Blake is going about it, it's giving me Tamlin and Rhysand vibes. Like Callum is 100% giving me Tamlin vibes, and Blake is giving me Rhysand vibes, that I don't want to show you that I'm vulnerable, but I'm going to keep protecting you, but in this snide, critical way, so you don't think that I'm doing it because I care. While Callum is doing this, like I'm going to be overbearingly overprotective and not actually think of you as an autonomous human being, just someone that is in my care like you're a child. I could be completely wrong. Again, I don't know anything about this series. It could be that Blake is a complete villain and like really evil, and I am completely barking up the wrong tree. There's just something about it. They had like this really vulnerable moment because he was afraid of the storm, and I was like, I'm so buying into this so much more. So I don't know if I'm going to like this series, because I feel like if we start pushing Callum more and more, because she's at the moment Callum is the love interest, there's no indication that Blake is a love interest at all. It's really giving me vibes. There's another thing as well that like, so Callum like has a reason for why he wants to protect our protagonist Rory so much, and I think I know what it is, and I think it's going to be pitched as this big reveal. And if it's not revealed at the end of this book and then it's dragged out throughout the next book as well, that is also probably going to annoy me. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll see, I guess. We also had like a slight reveal of you can become a wolf kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, okay. I see you. There's some things in there that I'm not 100% on, but I'm here for the vibes. The vibes are fabulous. I'm really enjoying the romance and the chemistry. And even though I'm not a Callum girl, again, I don't know what's wrong with me liking the villain. Oops. I still like the chemistry. I still like the way it's written. I love the push and pull of it. I'm still enjoying it. I just wish that it was a little bit less predictable and that we had more Blake. That's about it. So having a good time. We'll see how I progress. So that is it. I'm going to go continue reading. And then I think by this point, maybe once I've finished Hemlock and Silver and Square of Sevens, I'll check in. I'll finish those two, I think, today. And then tomorrow I should be able to check in again, and maybe I'll have finished Liar's Knot and The Wolf King. Hopefully that's the intention anyway. So we'll see how that goes. But I'll get back to you in a bit. Hey vlog, I'm checking in because I have finished a couple of things and I'm nearly done with another couple of things. I've not made any progress at all in Leviathan Wake, so we won't be talking about that. But I have gotten myself to book 4, so near the end of The Liar's Knot. And so far I am still loving it. I don't have a huge amount more to add to this one, so I think I will wait until tomorrow or whenever I manage to finish this to give like a full update. But I'm really loving the way that characters are revealing themselves in this. There were moments where certain characters found out certain things about other characters, and there was also a relief about it as well as like the fear for it. And I don't know, I just really love the multifaceted nature of all of these characters, and I'm really loving the writing style. I also have made some progress in The Wolf King, and this one I am now 400 pages in. So we have had our sex scene finally. It was about time, really. And we have also had where the plot has thickened. I'm still a Blake girly, and I know that my baby would never really do that. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes, whether or not I am genuinely falling for the villain or if it's just a play. We'll see. He's giving me so many Rhysand vibes, but like better in a way, because he genuinely could be a villain, and I don't know. I love it. But yeah, we'll see tomorrow how I end up faring with that one. For the two that I finished Square of Sevens by Laura Shepherd Robinson, and I think the ending of this one was really good. Now, it does slightly redeem the issue that I had with the previous part in a way, because there were certain things that it was, oh, okay, she was doing that on purpose. So she wasn't smart for doing this. She was doing that to do this. So there were certain things that were redeemable. I still don't believe that she would have gotten away with like as much pestering and badgering that she got away with. I don't buy into that, but I do buy into her intentions and that she's smarter than I kind of gave her credit for in a way. So all of that I'm still buying. I really did appreciate the ending. The ending was very cool. I did like that a lot. And I love the way that the characters all fall on this. I love how many layers of deceit there are. I love who is actually making a play for what. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that. And I am, I suppose, glad that I've read it and looking forward to reading more by this author. I think that it was phenomenally written. I really liked the intricacy of it. The setting is fabulous. I love reading a Georgian setting that isn't a Regency romance. So I'm glad that I read it, and I thank everyone on the Discord because it fulfilled those expectations. The next one that I finished, the only other one that I finished, was Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. This one I've ended up giving a really, really high 4-star. This one was fantastic. I loved the interpersonal relationships and the slight amount of romance that we get at the end there. There were certain things that I predicted. There were certain things that I didn't predict. Well, I did. I predicted it, but I didn't predict the reason. So I predicted the who, but not the why, which was very cool because it was so simple. In a way, like there was almost a simplicity to it that meant that I couldn't really have guessed it, and I liked that. I love the way that T. Kingfisher goes about her mysteries because she's not trying to be so taxing that you can never figure it out. It's almost like that seems like it's too obvious or too simple. It can't possibly be, and I really like that. As I said, I love the interpersonal relationships that we have with these characters as well. I think that was handled fantastically, and yeah, for the most part I had a good time with it. I love the writing style. I like the conclusion that we had. I love the world building in here. I'd happily read more books in this world, so hopefully T. Kingfisher will consider doing that. But yeah, I have had a great time so far with my reads, so I hope to continue that. It does mean that I have about 80-ish pages left of The Wolf King to read, and I have just over, I think, like 102 or something pages of The Liar's Knot left to go. I'm looking forward to just getting into those final stretches of those 2 books and finishing up this vlog. So I'll check back in probably tomorrow and I'll be able to finish it up and let you know how I felt with everything, and then we can go rank all the books. Hey vlog, I'm here for a final check-in because I have managed to finish the last 2 of my reads that I'm going to finish for this vlog. So the first thing is I have finished The Liar's Knot by M.A. Carrick, and I finished this last night and I had such a good time with this. 5 stars. This whole series is going to be 5 stars. I can feel it in my bones. I need to start the next one. I'm going to start it next month. I'm going to do one a month just so I can eke this out. But I am definitely reading one of these next month, and if it doesn't come up on the spinner wheel, then I'll just read it anyway. I had a fantastic time with the ending of this one. The way that this has concluded as well is definitely going to make, I think, for an exciting final entry, but I also don't fully know where the last book is exactly going to go. I like the reveals that we had because, again, like I was saying before, some of the reveals aren't for us. Some of them are things that we already know that are being revealed to other characters in the story. And I just think that's such a masterful thing to do. A lot of the time, if we know information and other characters don't know it, we're like, come on, how do you not know this already? But with this book, the way it went, it meant that I was super excited to see how these reveals would happen and then how certain characters would respond to those reveals. And I just think that's really tactfully done, because at no point did I feel frustrated that someone didn't know. In any case, I was nervous that someone would find out something. So I really loved that, and 5 stars. I have also finished The Wolf King. That ending. I'm going to pick up the next one soon as well. If anything romance-based comes up on the spinner wheel, I'm hoping I'll be able to read this one because I need to read the next one. And the fact the third one isn't even out yet is distressing. There are certain things in there that are quite predictable. There's something in there that maybe has thrown one of my predictions off, but there was another thing that was like, called it, knew that was going to happen from very early on. So some things I'm like, okay, that's yet to be seen. I'm still thinking this, but there's something else that got thrown in there that maybe not. Something happened at the end there that I feel like is going to mean something. You know, I'm excited. So we'll see which way the series goes. But this is like a full like Team Edward, Team Jacob. With Edward and Jacob, you knew from the get-go who Bella was going to choose. Like, you knew it was Edward, you knew that was Stephanie Meyer's intention. With this one, it's all to play still. It's more like Peter and Gail. And then I also have read 40 more pages of Leviathan Weeks. This has been great because we're now getting our 2 POV characters, but we're getting them together, but we still are seeing it from the individual perspectives. And I don't know, I'm really liking that combo. I'm really liking that it's like we're seeing both characters, but who the focus is on keeps swapping, and I liked that. So I'm excited to continue this one. I've got just over halfway through the book now, so hopefully by the time I get to the end, I'll be more invested in this one than I was in the show, because the show definitely tempered off for me to the point where I stopped being interested. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with this one and it keeps me engaged. But yes, so that is it for the vlog. So let's go rank all of the books and see if what the ratings were and how many of them got the 5 stars that I predicted they would be. So coming out at the bottom is probably going to be The Wolf King, even though I'm very excited to get to the next one. It is still quite predictable. It is probably the only one that is closer to a 4 star than a 5 star. 3 of them are a 4.5 star, but the one that is more like if I was doing quarter stars, then I'd have a 4.25, a 4.5, a 4.75, and a 5 star. They're all above 4 stars, but the one that would be the 4.25 would be The Wolf King, on the basis that, as I said, there were certain things that were predictable, and there were also elements that I was more interested in something that wasn't what we were focusing on. I did feel like the romance took longer than I would like for it to kick in, and also like at the moment the primary love interest is not my love interest, so there's that going as well. I mean, I'm not going to be ranking this one because it's not finished. At the moment it's sitting at 4 stars, so this would be the lowest one, but I'm not going to rank it because it's not finished. The 4.5 star one would probably be The Square of Sevens. I did really like this. The only thing that it's not a 5 star for is that section in book 3, I think it was, that was very much trying to, I guess, distract us in a way, but still while reading it, it felt very like eye-rolly, I guess, at times. Hard to talk about because it's so far into the book, but I'm very excited to read more by this author. The 4.75 would probably be Hemlock and Silver. I did really like this one. I don't have anything negative to say about it other than it's not my favourite Tea Kingfisher. Giving it a 5 star alongside the 2 favourite Tea Kingfishers that I've had seems a bit off. I love this. I had a great time with it. I think that the way that Tea Kingfisher does the fairy tale combined with this almost horror is just done so well, and I love her protagonists. And then the final one that I have, and the top one, the one that I ranked highest, is of course The Lies Not, which gets 5 stars from me. So yeah, great vlog. As I said, not including The Expanse because I'm not ranking it, but otherwise it would literally, if I included this one and it stays the same rating, it will be 4 stars, 4.25 stars, 4.5 stars, 4.75 stars, and 5 stars. Fantastic vlog. Absolutely fantastic start to the year. That's how you start the year. Again, I've still got quite a way to go with this one, so I can't really count this as like a book finished for the vlog, but I'm having a great time with it. So excellent start to the year so far, and I'm looking forward to continuing that energy through the rest of the year, hopefully. Starting the year with a good book is great. Starting the year with 4 completed good books and 1 still ongoing is excellent. I am having the best time. So that being said, I'm going to wrap up this vlog here. I'm going to be starting a spin a wheel vlog now, so hopefully we will enjoy that one, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the spin a wheel spins for me. So do subscribe if you want to see what other books get chosen for me. But for now, that is it. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books and your thoughts on them, or if you have any recommendations for books that you think I will like based on my enjoyment of these books. Also would love to know, because obviously I had a magnificent time with these. And yeah, that's all for me for today. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I will hopefully catch you in another one soon.